Welcome to episode 428 of the DFO Rundown. As always, brought to you by Bet365. It's never ordinary. Get in the game, must be 19 years of age or older. NBA, NHL, NFL, creeping up on the playoffs. Get in on all the action at Bet365. I am Jason Gregor. Hope you're doing great. We welcome in Stanley Cup champion, Game 7 hero, longtime NHL player, now analyst for the NHL Network, and co-host here on the Rundown, Mike Rupper. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I am good. Just enjoying this hockey before we get a little break here for a few days, and just talking all things hockey.
Well, yes, I'm. Are you done your Christmas shopping?
For the most part, actually, you know what I did the other day that was pretty good for me? I actually wrapped presents ahead of time. So my goal is to because Christmas Eve is always like our big night. And I every year have to at some point migrate to the bedroom to wrap presents on Christmas Eve. And it's like torture. So I did some of it the other day. These big mitts are don't do the best job wrapping, but they are covered up and under the tree. So it's good.
Oh, hey, buddy, that is solid. I have, this is like the earliest ever. Like when I was a single guy, man, I used to live for shopping on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. It was just like, I had a plan always, but it was great. Just in and out, wait till last moment was great, but not anymore. Now mine is actually pretty much been done for a few weeks, and just waiting for some of them to arrive, because first year I kind of ever ordered anything online. Of course, one of them doesn't show up, which is why I don't like ordering online. But the wrapping, you know what? I learned at a young age how to wrap. I'm a pretty good rapper. I don't mind it. So I have our son's old enough now that he can handle there being Christmas presents under the tree beforehand. Yeah. Right. Because you never used to just have to, you'd wait till the last minute. But now that he's 12, and obviously Santa Claus's gifts come later, but he can handle there being gifts under there without freaking out. So that's the right direction.
Oh, that's good. I love that.
I haven't seen him shake any boxes yet, so that's a good sign. Now we can go on.
The Lego boxes are always the worst ones. You can't wrap those, put them under. They shake them. They know it's Legos right away.
They know. Well, dude, I used to put a few marbles in a box sometimes just to get them off the scent. Right? Oh. He'd be shaking it, and he'd be like, "Oh, what's in there?" Move. I don't know, buddy. I don't know. It's a bunch of marbles. So there's a few NHL teams that would like something for Christmas. Let's start with the Buffalo Sabres fans, because Kevyn Adams, we never advocate for anybody getting let go, but there hadn't been any improvement in his tenure, and Jarmo Kekäläinen was sitting right there. Kekäläinen has more experience, better track record, and now he has nothing to do with the current win streak because it's the same players, but suddenly the Sabres have won 4 in a row. Alex Lyon has started the last 3, came in relief for the first one and won it. And the Sabres at least will look up and say, well, we're 5 points out of a playoff spot with a game in hand. So you're telling me there's a chance?
That to me is the kiss of death, though. It's almost better. I think that everybody wants to make the playoffs. And when you have Jarmo taking over here and all the players, the organization wants to be able to strike because it's there and it's somewhat close. But I'm just a firm believer, and this is from 30,000 feet. Don't think that's the best thing for them right now. I think that they need to have a complete rebrand of who they are. And that's what I would like to see Jarmo do. I just don't know if it's going to happen because of what we're seeing in the Eastern Conference, because it's been so long since they've made it. I think there's going to be a push just to do that, just make it or get in that running down the stretch. So unless this team continues this type of play and starts showing that they're different, I just think the right thing for them would be to, I don't know, completely take this thing down, but I don't feel like they're going to do that.
Yeah, well, to completely take it down, you've got to get rid of a lot of really good pieces that aren't even that old, right? And Dahlin, and I don't think Tage Thompson is that old, and Owen Powers. And now there's some young guys you might trade to get better, but Pekka Luukkonen. I look at the Sabres, and you're right. I think the thing is, if you let Alex Tuch go for draft picks, Rupper, you might as well just, now we're losing a really good player for guys who might help us 3 years, 4 years down the road. And it's been a terrible cycle for them. So I think Buffalo, I don't know if they're a playoff team, but I thought they'd at least be competitive. Like, they have more talent than their record has shown, at least in my opinion. And, I know it's only 4 games, but 3 of them were on the road and they won. And then they come home and they win another game. And in the East, man, like, let's be honest, after Carolina, maybe Washington, I'm not even sure. Now, Florida's starting to come. So I guess maybe I'd give them that. But there's a lot of question marks after Florida, maybe Tampa, on who's good here, like Pittsburgh, New Jersey, the Islanders, the Rangers, Ottawa, Toronto. Buffalo's kind of right in that mix with all those teams, Columbus, Philly, and Pittsburgh, like, name them pretty much all.
Yeah, I think the known are the ones you said pretty much. It's Carolina, I think Washington, and both Florida teams. I mean, outside of that, I think it's all up for grabs. And some of those teams I mentioned aren't even in the playoffs right now. But like that, I just think that they're going to get there. They just have that cachet about them, and they're just going to get stronger as the season goes along, because that's what we have seen from them in the past, like the Florida Panthers. So, yeah, I just, this year, because it's so fun to watch and so fun to monitor from the night to night basis, because there's so much that can change, and just one good week or one bad week. I guess the downfall of that is, I think that some teams are going to have a tough time self-evaluating, and maybe they don't care. Maybe it's not seeing where we're at in the grand scheme of building a Stanley Cup champion. Maybe it's just, we got to get playoff gate. We got to get in there and get this experience. And I'm a believer in that too, but I also think some shrewd decisions now or this trade deadline could really benefit you later on. And I think you use the Washington Capitals as an example of that. Like, they did that a few years ago, and they've been a pleasant, I guess, surprise the last couple of years where they're at. So I just, because it's so congested, I wonder if teams are not going to do the best thing for themselves long term, and this may come back to bite them later on.
Fair point. It's kind of an interesting place on where they're at, Rupper. Are they, like, I don't know if you can rebuild again. Like, my God, how many times can you rebuild, right? That's the challenge. So now Kekäläinen has a really good track record of drafting when he was in Columbus. So now he'll obviously team up with a different amateur scout here in Buffalo, but they had a pretty good track record. Now it's about making moves that work out for them, right? If you're going to trade a player, like, you've got to, I think it's like, I've heard rumblings for a year and a half about Owen Power. Well, okay, if you're going to trade Owen Power, you better trade him for somebody who's just good. So it's a trade that works out for both teams or benefits you, but you can't lose that trade, right? And that's why I thought it was imperative that they make the GM change.
Yeah, no, it's, again, for me it's very easy for me to sit here and say they need to tear things down to a certain level. I think all the way, but that'd be really hard to do with some of the players that they have and kind of what they built up to this point. For me, it's more of just that culture thing, and I think that that's such a loaded thing to say, because I know a lot of people are like, enough with the culture stuff and what that. No, it's so important. You have to have the culture before you add the talent. And if you can bring up talent at the same time of cultivating the culture, now you're cooking with gas. I just think that, from an example of, even, I'll use the Minnesota Wild as an example. They've had a culture there. Billy Guerin's established that. So now this is the fun time. You get to go out there and try to hit some grand slams and bring in these players that get you over the hump. But everything kind of slots appropriately when you have a culture in place. This is how we approach practice every day. Our game looks pretty consistent from one game to the next. It doesn't mean we're going to win every game, but all those things get into place. And that's something that Buffalo has lacked, and they haven't had for a long time. So although I love a lot of the pieces, I just don't love the pieces together all the time, because they don't have that foundation of having that culture, the identity of who they are. And it's really hard to do by just moving some pieces out, moving some pieces in. So for me, I mean, you get a new GM in there. I think that's time to do that. So I don't know. I don't know if they absolutely do that because of what we already said. They're in the hunt here. But I think it's what's necessary, because I don't know how a GM's coming in here and you got the same coach in place, how all of a sudden a culture and an identity is going to be formed. So that's where I think they're going to get hung up.
Okay. Could be totally right. Now, going to the other side of the country, I got to talk about this youngster. I don't know if you watched Celebrini's game last night, man, but that goal off the face-off just controls it. Like the poise that he's shown. He's third. Like, watch this goal here. Just controls it right off the draw. And then he doesn't rush, right? Takes his time in the corner, waiting. Then a pass across, rebound, scores. And the San Jose Sharks, what a find they got in this guy. And he just continues to, like, there's MacKinnon and McDavid who are now tied with 58 points. MacKinnon has a game or two in hand. And then there's Macklin Celebrini with 53 points, just ahead of Leon Draisaitl. And he's only in his second year in the league. He's got one less shot than Connor McDavid. You know, like, he's shooting the puck. He's playing 20 and a half minutes a night. Like, man, this guy to me has punched his ticket. There's no way he's not on Team Canada. And he's given the San Jose Sharks, who are currently, you know, they're tied for the second wildcard spot. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs or not, but I'll say this. If they make the playoffs, Celebrini, to me, would be the Hart Trophy winner.
He has to be.
I know, like McKinnon's been great, but he's got Makar and Natchez, and McDavid's been great, and he has Draisaitl. Celebrini's, you know, he doesn't have anybody remotely close to those guys with him, and he is carrying that team. Like, he is already 24 points ahead of Will Smith on his own team. It's wild.
And Will Smith is having a phenomenal season. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of it's because these guys play together. But yes, I believe that if this team gets in, it has to be him. It has to be him. And I don't care. Honestly, Nate can have 145 points. And so if Macklin's at 95 points and this team gets in, I know that's a huge discrepancy in points, but it's not about, no one's saying that he is the best player in the world. No one would say that. No. We know that that's Connor McDavid, or some people might put Nate MacKinnon in that conversation. Now, that's what the Hart Trophy is. It's that the player that just where this team was and where they are now, and a second-year player, that is mind-blowing to me in what he's doing. And I don't know, Pat, can you put that goal up last night, the assist by him? And just one thing I want to talk on too on him is that the creativity and the thought process of a push through. And we see centers do a push through on the draw all the time like this, but he executes it right here, opening up and looking right there. So he doesn't go in the corner. I think a lot of players would go in there and they turn to their left, protect the puck, and just start getting some zone time. Like, he's sitting here and he pushes through and he's like, let's do this right now. Open up, turn, look. The kid is like, he's at a different level physically, and we're seeing it mentally as well. I love his game. It's fun to watch. So all season long, we're going to be you and I have talked about it a couple of times. I can't wait I've said this for a couple of weeks now, because you've seen Connor's game get going, where I want to see Connor and Nate kind of branch off here and get to their own little galaxy. And just that becomes must-watch TV, because then if Edmonton's playing a game against the Columbus Blue Jackets and it's not really like that sexy of a matchup, I'm like, Nate had 4 points last night. Let's see what Connor does tonight. And then Connor comes out and he has a massive game. Because I think these guys care about those things and they battle back and forth. Like, that's a game inside the game for fans to watch. But Macklin's like, hang on a second, I'm still in the mix here. And it's so fun to watch. This kid is an absolute stud. And like you mentioned, we'll get into that in a little bit. For me, all day long, he's Team Canada. That conversation is that's closed. That's a closed case. He's on Team Canada.
Yeah, I would agree. And the Sharks, like, hey, they're sticking around. A lot of it's due to Celebrini, no question. Scaroff and goal. They got a lot of young players. They're getting some key experience for them. I'll be curious what happens, at the trade deadline or not, if they're really there. And I don't know if you've watched John Klingberg the last 2 weeks, Rupper, but John Klingberg has suddenly dialed it back. Like, when he was in his prime in Dallas, that guy was one of the most exciting defensemen to walk the blue line. He was so good, and he's starting to get that back in his game now. Like, he has made some ridiculous plays lately. He's highly creative. I remember talking to John last year, and he wasn't sure if he'd ever get his mobility back, because that was his best asset of his game. Right? He wasn't necessarily the fastest guy in a straight line, but his his lateral mobility was allowed him to create space away from players, whether it's forehand or forward or backwards or lateral, he could do it. And you're starting to see that more from him. The Sharks are a team now for me when, there's some late games on. I'm always like, oh, check out that Shark game on the NHL package, man, because they're exciting with Celebrini.
Yeah.
Will Smith's a good young player, but Klingberg lately has been hey, they give up a lot. I understand that, but he's entertaining to watch right now.
When he was in his prime there in Dallas, he was in it. There's a lot of defensemen now. I mean, this position has exploded where you're seeing more and more of this. But John Klingberg was the best lateral blue line mover on the offensive blue line. The way he would open up his hips, he always had his shoulders square. He had a big shot. Like, he was so fun. Then he had hip injuries, and it kind of takes a little while to kind of get back to where his game is. And even in the playoffs last year at Edmonton, like he had some stretches there. I'm like, oh, like John Klingberg stepped up in a big moment and made some big plays. You start seeing it, and I don't know. I want to look into it a little bit more. I was talking to Jason Demers the other day, and he kind of brought up a point on. He talks about something with mental health and how he's gotten to a better place mentally, and so the physical, the mental, all that's starting to come together. And in an exciting place in San Jose, the way they play stylistically. So. I love watching it with Klingberg, but you're right. He has been an absolute force for the Sharks in the last number of weeks.
No, 100%. Now, speaking of McDavid, he's got 22 points in 8 games. He scored a shorthanded goal last night to put the game away against Boston, excuse me. He's really closed the gap here on Nathan MacKinnon, and McKinnon's been off the charts good pretty much all year long. But, you look at McDavid, the most points he's ever had in a 10-game stretch was 29. He's had 25 plus points in the 10-game stretch. Technically 12 times if you use 10 games, but some of those overlap. So I like to say it's actually 7, but still, he's just in that mode again, Rupper. And it's just like because there was a few weeks ago, people were, Connor McDavid's peak is gone. And it's always amazing to me. I don't know how many times people wrote that about Ovechkin over the years. And I'm like, I don't understand media people or fan who try to, they want to be the first to say, this player's in the downfall. I'm like, do you guys even watch sports? Like, some days I wonder if they actually watch sports to see what elite players across all sports are doing and how they maintain it for a high level. We're talking 20 years, right? Like, McDavid might not get 153 points again, but my God, if he scores 140 or, only 135, like, it doesn't mean that his peak years are done by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not at all. But this is, I think that these guys are so great that it almost works against them because we think that they're perfect. I mean, they're human. So the fact that Connor McDavid looked a little out of sorts this year, doesn't every player? Maybe not him. We usually don't see it from him. So we just hold them at these unfair levels of what they should be all the time. So, and then they turn on these certain modes like this and just absolutely take over. And it's just funny too, because we were joking about it the other day, like the way after that Seattle game when he had a hat trick, how he, paraphrasing here, but he basically just said, the last couple games, we lost 1-0. I was trying to make too many passes. I kind of passed the puck away as opposed to shooting it, and I wanted to get back to shooting it. Oh, it's that easy. I'm going to shoot the puck tonight. Hat trick. You know what I mean? But then that's the stretch there where he had the 7 goals in 6 games, and I think the next game he had another goal. So I didn't even do the math on that one. But as far as what his points were on that night, but it's just funny when you sit here, and this is how great these guys are. And I always go back to the 29-10 season. I signed in Pittsburgh. And so I'm just getting to know Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, these greats. And those guys, played against them a ton, playing in their division, but you start seeing them. And I was always told, like, I had a very, very straight stick. Like, it was pretty darn straight. And Sidney Crosby, everybody knows about his straight stick. And that summer, I remember him talking about with media that he wanted to score more goals and he wanted to be better on the faceoffs because it late in games, even though they just won the Stanley Cup. So that's something to put into everyone's mind here, is that he said late in games, he wanted to be on the ice, not just when they needed goals, but to protect a lead as well. And that was usually reserved for someone else in the closing minute. And so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what a like competitor that you won the Stanley Cup. And these are your objectives. I want to be on the ice more and I want to score more goals. So I saw it every single day, worked on faceoffs every day. I was taking draws as well with a group of us. And he got 50 that year. And he was top 5 or 10 in faceoffs. And so I sit there and think to myself, like, that's what's different about guys like Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid. Like Connor just says, I need to shoot the puck more. I want to score more. And what does he do? He goes on a goal scoring tangent. Nobody else does. You don't think I ever said, I want to score more goals. You know what I mean? Like everyone else tries to do those things and can't do it. That's what makes these guys out of this world. And we're seeing it right now with Connor McDavid.
Yeah, he's got 10 goals in his last 8 games. There's lots of talk. He's got a core injury, can't shoot. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? He'll rifle one. And then he just wasn't shooting. Like he was passing up opportunities when he would deke out guys and he'd pass it. Now he's just like, hey, you know what? Okay, I gotta go back to shooting. And now he's up to 4th in the NHL in goals. He's 1 behind Kaprizov, 7 back of MacKinnon. And like Nate MacKinnon is shooting the puck a ton, 156 shots. McDavid has 111. So that's, McDavid is shooting it more lately, but he's just finally now over 3 shots a game. But like Nate MacKinnon, man, like that guy's almost at 5 shots a game. Like he's in Ovi territory when Ovi, and that's, you want to score a lot of goals, you got to shoot. And when you got the puck as much as those guys, like damn right, you should be shooting, right? Like Nate MacKinnon's.
What's their shooting percentages? Do you have that up? Like what's like MacKinnon and McDavid clicking at right now?
Yeah, McKinnon's at 17.9 and McDavid's at 18.9.
Okay.
Kaprizov's at 19.1. Morgan Geekie, who's
Geekie's at 28. Is that where?
Yeah, 27.9 for him. Yeah. So he's up there quite a bit, which is pretty good. And then if you look at a lot of if I'm looking at the top 20 goal scorers, the lowest shooting percentage, Jason Roberts is at 14.8. He's got 20 on 135. And then Cutter Gauthier is at 14.2. He's got 18 on 127. Gauthier fires the puck a ton. And that's kind of the 2 lowest guys. So everybody else, you're over 15, 16, some guys up to 20. Obviously, Sidney Crosby's at 24.1 this year with 19 on 79 shots. So, that's probably going to be hard to him to maintain his goal pace. And then Morgan Geekie, you know what? Hey, but I remember when Draisaitl, his first year, he scored 50 and everyone's like, oh, his shooting percentage isn't sustainable. Yeah. And then he's sustained it for the next 8 years. Not everybody's going to be a volume shooter and a good goal scorer. There are different ways to go about it.
Geeks was at 22 last year. So I know that's out there. And from this calendar year, he leads the league in goals starting January 25 till now. But yes, it's quite a few ticks up from 22, but he's north of 20. And that's what we've seen over the course of a good portion of games the last 2 years. So maybe he's just one of those guys, like you're saying, isn't volume, but he's a finisher.
Oh, God, he is right now. There's no question about it. He's been able to score. He's got 49. MacKinnon and Robertson have 46. DeBrincat 44. Pasternak, Thompson, Wyatt Johnson 43. Crosby, Draisaitl, and Seth Jarvis are the top 10 in the calendar year of 2025 in goals. In points, it's MacKinnon, Kucherov, Pasternak, McDavid, and Draisaitl top 5. And then Nick Suzuki is 6th in the calendar year in points. So, but yeah, I look at, it'll be interesting to see kind of McDavid. I think they had a tough stretch. Like they're done going to the Eastern Conference, Mike. It's December 19th and they don't have to go to the Eastern Conference again. They've played 22 road games and 16 in the Eastern time zone. So that's a big advantage for them in the second half, right? Like I was looking at their games now the rest of the way. I think they play 6 games in the Central time zone, 8 in the Pacific, and all the rest are in their mountain, like in their own time zone. That makes a big difference, right? Especially that travel late in the year from mountain to the Eastern time zone. So that's something that could be advantageous for them as they try to, after a slow start for Edmonton, you look at the standings, They're 2 back of Anaheim and Vegas. Now Vegas has 3 games in hand, so take that for what it's worth. But the Edmonton Oilers have put themselves in a position. Now they just made the goalie trade. We talked about it, Rupper. And now in the first week, because that was the one concern. Hey, whose game is better? I think it's Jarry. But Stuart Skinner's never hurt. Tristan Jarry, 3rd game in, got nicked up. Now we don't know the extent of it. It looked to me like a strain, a muscle strain, whether it's a groin or whether it's a core muscle. I'm not going to speculate, but it looked kind of like one of the two, just how you saw him move. And those can be, that can be a week. It can be 4 weeks, depending on it, the severity of it. And so now you got Calvin Pickard, and you got the trade deadline, or I guess the roster freeze tonight if they want to acquire a goalie. And there's not a lot of goalies out there like Buffalo. They're not trading Alex Lyon right now. He's won 4 in a row. Like, it'd be foolish, I think, now to do it. Plus, you're not going to get that much anyway. Montreal's got Montembeault in the minors, but no one's taking him for $3.1 million. Carolina's got 3 goalies. But Brandon Bussi, all he does is win games, 11 out of 12. And they're a team that's historically had injuries. Why the hell would you trade one? I'm like, if I got to run 3 goalies, I'm going to run 3 goalies. So, you know what? Maybe they're going to have to call up Ingren or Tompkins, at least for the time being. But Edmonton's really got a hope here that this Tristan Jarry injury is just like a short-term thing. If it's a long-term thing, that could be a big problem.
Yeah, and you hope it's not, obviously. But then when you see some of these like kind of innocuous injuries, a lot of times those are the ones that could be reoccurring, can flare up at different times. So you hope that's not the case, because I actually really want to see Tristan Jarry. I know he was winning as he won his first 2 games, but he's got better than what he's shown early on. But you're not going to grade him too much on those. Just trying to get your feet wet with your new team. So I'd like to see where it goes, but him being healthy is huge in that. But that's the thing where. And I know there's a lot more that goes into it with the trade and to free up cap space and make everything kind of line up appropriately. But that's why I thought that it's easy to say that right now. I'm not criticizing anybody, but that's why I thought the best move for this team was to have Stuart Skinner and Tristan Jarry. And I don't know what that would even look like, how you'd acquire him or whatever. So I'm not trying to say, oh, this is easy, you should have done this. But that's where you're kind of at this point now, whether it's him not playing to the level he can, or like in this situation being hurt, you're kind of back at square one here. So Cal Pickard looks like he's going to get a little bit of a run, and we've seen him be fine with that and be able to go with that. And you just hope that he's able to replicate that again. So, yeah, I don't know what the market looks like for goaltenders. I think you just want to get to this break. You want to keep winning games, and you just hope that the reports on Jarry are certainly something that's not very long term.
Yeah, no, very true. We also are going to get in, because we're off next week, of course, for Christmas and holidays. We wanted to get in our final Olympic roster. So that's coming up. Rupper and I's final Canada and Olympic rosters for the upcoming Olympics, because, of course, those rosters will be announced on the 31st of December. And we've been doing it pretty much the second last Friday of the month, but we'll just do it a little bit earlier. But first, we'll bring in Pat Puff. Patty, how are you?
Doing good, getting close to the Christmas break here. So, I mean, it's a Friday. Everyone's feeling good. And we're jumping into a fill in the blank, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary. Bet365. Download the app. Get it on the game. Use code NATION. Bet365 must be 19 or older. I guess the first question I have for you is along the lines of the Buffalo Sabres. A lot of rumors going around about Alex Tuch, and it kind of goes to what you guys were talking about. Like, if they start playing better, are they going to be sellers? Are they going to, I don't think they're going to add necessarily, but like you said, Rob, it's the kiss of death, or fooling yourself into thinking you're better than you are and kind of giving up a good draft position. So I guess I want to know, fill in the blank, scale of 1 to 10, what are the chances Alex Tuch extends in Buffalo, and what are the chances that he moves on? And we'll start with you, Gregs.
Well, I think a lot of it's going to depend on, he's going to have conversations now with Kekäläinen. Now, obviously, I'm sure Jarmo had talked to him before, but now Jarmo's the main decider, right? So that does change things. I think Tuch deep down would like to stay there. Like, imagine being a local guy and you help the team get back to the playoffs for the first time since Rupper and I had hair, right? Like, that's a long time now. And it's ridiculous. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins wasn't in the league the last time the Sabres made the playoffs, and he's going to play his 1,000th game later on this year, right? Like, it's freaking wild when you think about it that way. But I think it just comes down to like the Sabres were a team at the start of the year. People thought, hey, could they take a step? They had enough talent to maybe take a step. They got off to another terrible start. But the East, there's no one really running away with it at all. Like what if all of a sudden Buffalo extends this streak to a really good 6 weeks, and by the end of January, they're 1 or 2 points out of the playoffs or in a playoff spot? I think that increases their chances. But I'm still going to say right now it's probably 50-50, if not maybe 65-35 he gets traded.
Okay. I mean, I don't know about here's what I think about Alex Tuch. Hey, you mentioned being a local guy. He's Syracuse born and raised, which is also fairly local for another team that I think he'll end up playing on next season, and that's New York Rangers. The way I kind of see this playing out, I don't know what's going to happen here with the Panarin situation with the Rangers, but I think that Alex Tuch will be objective one for the New York Rangers in free agency. So I think Alex Tuch probably sees those and reads those tea leaves. I think that this team will be in the mix enough where, I don't know, I think they'll just kind of walk them into the offseason. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not for Buffalo, but I don't see him getting traded. I might be dead wrong there. Maybe that's still something where they realize or they feel like they've got to get some assets in place in case this guy does walk. But at the same level, they got to make the playoffs, dude. Like if we're talking back when Greg's and I had hair, like that's a long time. That was a long time ago, dude. So they've got to figure out.
It's actually longer for me than the Sabres drought, but
how great would it be if when they got back in, we started sprouting hair again though? Like that, if it just went and lived and died with the Buffalo Sabres, I'd be rooting for these guys every second.
I made a stupid bet last year, just an off the cuff comment about a game, like for fun, joking, like, the Oilers will beat the Sharks tonight for sure. I'd grow my hair out, like kind of just as a joke. And like, not even like there was nothing I would gain if they won and they lost. I had the Costanza. It was so effing terrible. Like for 4 months, dude, like I wore a hat, a toque, like I hated it. Like, and then part of the deal was I had to wear I had to go like 2 days, no hat. Right. And like
just around in life or on TV?
Just in life, covering the game everywhere, doing my show everywhere. And buddy, like the first time I went in the dressing room, I'm standing beside Drysdale and I go to ask a question. He looks at me and he goes, God, I didn't even know that was you. And I was just like, dude, like it was awful. Like it looks so terrible. Just like the pattern. It was honestly, it's like, I don't know how guys do it, man. Honestly, guys who walk around with the ring of like it's like a monkey butt. I don't know what they're doing. Like, Daddy, there's no way that looks better. Like the dream's over, end it. Right. Like I look great with a shaved head, but it looks absolutely awful with if I let my hair grow out. Like you couldn't pay me to do it again. Like I would do anything other than that again in my life. I'll never grow it out.
Well, I hope don't take that bet anymore. But
no.
it
wasn't even a bet. It was just a stupid comment.
I'm going to bet with absolutely nothing that Alex Tuch will be playing for another team next year. I don't see it the re-signing happening.
That's fair.
Yep, fair enough. Next question I have for you.
By the way, would you have like the traditional big like ring? Right?
I don't honestly no. I've never done it. It is actually pretty thick. My hair could come through thick here. Yes. My bigger problem is like my lines up here. So I'm not sure
you're
that
I have like a 9 head.
So yeah, like I'll have. Is this what you're looking for, Pat? When jumping in here, you want to hear this stuff? I would have the receding, and then the kneecap, and then I'd have a trail going across this area. That'd be pretty thick.
Oh God, dude, that was not like mine was pretty. Mine was pretty solid, like nothing in the middle. But man, like it was sick. Like I had flow on the sides and the back, man. Like when I wore a hat, people thought I had hair again because it was growing out the back. Like if I could just grow it there, it'd be. And if I could get one of those, I saw it. Like somebody's like, I said, Gregor, you should go get one of those toupees that's just I take just down the middle, right? Because I had the sides and I had the back stellar. Like it was stealth. It was growing fast, but it was just on top, man. I could have put cow fertilizer on there and it wasn't growing. So it is one where I did look at that and say, you know what? I thought about really saying if I could, like, remember when Costanza got the toupee? Right. Oh, and he was now I never liked when I had hair anyway. So to me, it wouldn't, other than maybe when I was like 17, 18. But after that, I was like, no. But man, when I saw that Costanza thing, I always laugh. I'm like, just for fun, I'd like to go get like a real full on toupee and just wear it around to see what it would look like. Just because no one would recognize you. Like, there's so many friends in my life that have never, I've trimmed my hair, shaved my head ever since I was like 22. Right. Even when I could grow hair, I just went down to the wood. So, like the dream really was over for me at probably 30, right? Like if like legit, you would have had to comb over, but at 22, I could still grow it up, but I didn't. So I've had so many friends who were like, they've seen pictures and they're like, who's that? I'm like, that's me, you idiot. But they don't recognize me with hair.
Some good insight on what I can look forward to for sure.
But you got like a 3 head over there. You got lots of hair.
Yeah, but for how long? That's the question. I'm just got to soak it up while I have it. The Minnesota Wild, they're on a 6-game heater. They're obviously feeling the Quinn Hughes bump, no doubt. Their goalies are solid. So fill in the blank. Like, who is missing from this lineup? I've heard some people talk about center depth, but who to you would fit the best in this lineup to make them a serious playoff contender? Not that they aren't already. They're playing great. What do you think, Mike?
Oh, man. So I think a couple things. Like, I think this Yurov has been playing really well for them.
Yes.
It's a little bit of found money, although he is a high pick, where I wonder if I don't know. I don't want to say that, but maybe that's something that other teams would be interested in. I just think that when you have this move that they did for Quinn Hughes, and what we do know is you've got this year and next year, that's your window. And that could change if you get an extension with Hughes or whatever. People are going to have their opinions on that. I think you're still swinging here if you're Billy Guerin. And so I'm thinking, for me personally, I think a Naz Kadri would look incredible in this lineup. A Ryan O'Reilly would certainly help. I mean, they got a lot of cap issues that they'd have to figure out for all this stuff to happen. So this is just complete spitballing. But the one for me is to kind of go back to that same conversation we we're talking about, maybe with an Alex Tuck, is Artemi Panarin. It has a full no move, and wherever the Rangers go in the next little bit, like, what would this look like with him there? I don't even know how you get to that point with the salary cap issues that they would have. But you're talking about being all in. That one would be the final like stamp of like, yep, we're going for it. So yeah, I think it probably center ice would be the main thing, but I think this is an organization that has realized over the years that you could be pretty good without having a traditional center ice depth that I think people think you have to have with a 1C, a 2C, like a traditional guy. You could, if you can have the right offensive drivers on the wing, like you have with Kaprizov, or on the back end with a Quinn Hughes, you can kind of make things work. And I think that's something that Artemi Panarin would bring. But again, that would assume that Artemi would waive to go there, and that you'd have this cap gymnastics Billy Guerin would have to figure out to free up enough space.
For me, I'm going to go a little different because I do agree with you on center, but I look at their blue. Now, obviously they're missing, Brodin's not listed there because he's hurt. Jake Middleton's hurt, but you got Hughes, you got Faber, you got Spurgeon. They're all really good. They're also, none of them are that big, right? You know who they could use to fill out their bottom six, just as a big 6 defenseman? And it wouldn't necessarily be a number 6. Jamie Alexiak from the Seattle Kraken. You put Alexiak and Middleton with Brodin and Faber and Hughes and Spurgeon. That is a legit, you got a great mix. You got a combination of size, skill, physicality, can move the puck. Man, I think Jamie Alexiak would be the perfect fit on their back.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
Yeah, totally. I hadn't thought about that at all, but you're absolutely right. Just because we've gone a little bit long, we'll jump right into the third one here. But I just want to check back into the Eastern Conference quickly, because for a while it looked like Tampa was running away with it, but the Hurricanes now 5 in a row. On Bet365, there's some juice here in a couple teams. Hurricanes plus 360, Lightning plus 375, and the Florida Panthers, I mean, you can't count them out at plus 475 when they get Tkachuk back and maybe a little more healthy. But I mean, if you're looking at this right now, Greg's, who are you betting on to win the Eastern Conference? It's close for sure, but I mean, like, there is some juice here.
Yeah, now we're talking winning the regular season, right?
Yeah, winning the regular season,
Okay.
the Eastern Conference. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that the odds are the lowest, but I'm taking the Carolina Hurricanes. Like the one thing Rod Brindamore, that team doesn't let up. They're doing this. Jacob Slavin just came back, right? So that's a big boost. They've won 5 in a row. He's one of the best defensive D-men in the league, no question about it. They don't have to overextend any of their goaltenders. They got 3 right now that they can all use. So I'm going to say Carolina. And I think Carolina probably wins by a bit because the rest of the Metro, there isn't that much. There's not a lot of really good teams. There's some okay teams, but there's not like a dominant team. So I would, I'd be plunking it down on Carolina right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'd like to give a different one, but that's the one that makes most sense to me, and that's why you're not getting the greatest odds on it as far as making money. But the other one I would maybe say would be Tampa. But I hesitate with that because they've been dealing with a lot of injuries and they've had this big push to kind of get back into the mix here, and you wonder if they're going to kind of keep being able to push the envelope. But I got to go Carolina too. I just think that that's a team that, I'll be honest with you, even though they are where they are right now and they've been a very good team. I mean, they're first in the Metro. I kind of think they've underachieved in some regards. I kind of thought that they were just going to literally run away with the Eastern Conference and probably a President's Trophy, and they haven't been that. Now, does that feel foolish saying a team's 22-9-2 that they're underachieving? Yeah, it does feel like that. But I thought this team was going to put up like insane numbers. These are great numbers. I thought they were going to put up insane numbers, and they haven't done that yet. So I think they'll start maybe getting some separation here in the next month or so.
Yeah, I think you guys are right. I think it's the Hurricanes, but I mean, I honestly think at plus 360 and plus 375, they'll sprinkle a little bit on the Hurricanes, a little bit on the Lightning, and you're set to make a little bit of money at the end of the season. So I think that was pretty fair, but that's all I've got for you today on Fill in the Blanks for Bet365.
All right. So now let's get to our Olympic roster, the final roster. Mike Rupp.
So this is the ones that everybody can take to the bank. You can take these to the bank.
Yeah.
This will be the Olympics. I'm sending mine. I'm forwarding mine to Billy Guerin. You send yours.
I was just going to say, didn't Bill reached out this morning to say, hey, what should I do? And you're like, just watch the show, listen to the pod, and you'll know who to pick. So let's start with your forwards, and Patty will get them up on the board, and we can talk about the ones. Do you have any changes from your last roster?
So I do, and it's noted there. And I know that I like the progression.
Brock Nelson in.
Yeah, I was moving some pieces all over the place during this process. Brock Nelson was once on Volume 1 edition as kind of a quote unquote. It doesn't matter what the lines are. As far as who's playing with whom, I'm just throwing him in there in some way, shape, or form. But Brock Nelson was in Volume 1, out Volume 2. Now he's back in, and I have Cole Caulfield out. I just feel very strongly that it's going to come down to, or was going to be coming down to, a decision between like an Alex DeBrincat and a Cole Caulfield. And I just think DeBrincat is answered that a little bit better, if you will. And I just don't think that both guys were going to be on the same team. They kind of cross or negate each other in some way, shape, or form. So I don't know if you want me to just read them for the ones that aren't watching, but I got Brady
go through your lines.
Yeah, Brady Tkachuk, Jack Eichel, Matthew Tkachuk. That line was so dominant, so good in Four Nations. Then Kyle Connor, Dylan Larkin, Alex DeBrincat. Again, no order here. Jason Robertson, Jack Hughes, Matt Boldy, Jake Gensel, Austin Matthews, Tage Thompson. Now, Tage Thompson came on Volume 2 of my list, and he's staying there. So JT Miller is an extra, if you will, and Brock Nelson. So I just think that you're going to have some insurance policies. JT Miller has not been lights out and was like absolute for me, but the fact that he can play different positions, he's got a little bit of grit, and the fact that his head coach is the head coach for this keeps him in it for me. And Brock Nelson, I think, gets back in for some of those same reasons as far as being able to play wing, center. His game is certainly elevated here with the Colorado Avalanche. So that's my forward group.
Now, what about a few guys? I'm going to ask you. Cutter Gauthier has the seventh most points of any American forward this year in the NHL, and he's fourth in goals. Big body, young guy, shooting the puck a ton for the Anaheim Ducks. Did he have any consideration for you?
Now, I will say this. I'm very bullish on him as a player and love him as a player. I never considered him on any of these three lists. And I'm just being honest with you because I just felt like he's got everyone's attention. He went over World Championships, was a big factor for them at World Championships. He's built equity with Team USA where we're back with international play. I just don't see him on this one. I think he's that next one that might even play a prominent role in the future. Maybe he will. I think this guy, the way he shoots the puck and the way you talked about it earlier, this shot volume, he can he can run this league in a lot of different ways as far as the shooting goes. So I don't know why I just never really had him on this list because he does that really well. He needs to develop some other parts of his game because when you're on a roster like this for any of these countries we're talking, it's about intangibles. And I love what he's bringing from the shooting department, but it's got to be about a little bit more than just that. So that's why I left him off.
Okay. And Clayton Keller, I don't think you ever had him on any of your lists, which is totally fine.
I did. I think I had him on. I think I had him on one.
Did you have him on your first one?
Yeah, I think I may have. So I real quick on him, like I said this on the show before with you, DeBrincat. And so looking at this group, you got Connor, you've got DeBrincat, you've got Jack Hughes, you've got Caulfield, who we mentioned, Jake Gensel. You move on to a player like Clayton Keller. Like you can't have too many undersized guys. So that's why I think that his game has dropped off a little bit. And I just think he's been replaced.
If Logan Cooley wasn't injured and out for as long as he's going to be, would he have been on your team?
He would have been an interesting one, and I still think some of this stuff is in play, and we still got some NHL play quite a bit till we get to the Olympics. As far as players that are banged up, that we haven't even seen Matthew Tkachuk this year. Jack Hughes is out. What does he look like? Is Austin Matthews banged up? I don't. His game is not looking like to the level it needs to be. So Logan Cooley would be one for me is like an insurance policy as an offensive driver for injury purposes, but not on the get-go of just, hey, yes, he's done enough to be on this team. So I never really had him, probably for a lot of the same reasons, maybe as a Cutter Gauthier, different players. But just as far as Billy Guerin came out and he had that comment where he said, and I'm not saying Logan Cooley can't do this because he's actually pretty good in this department in competing on pucks. But he basically said, Billy Guerin, if you can't check, you can have all the numbers in the world. You can't play on this team. So I just find that one kind of threw me. And I'm starting to think he wants veteran guys that he knows what he's going to get.
Okay, could be good. Now let's go to your D core. So we see the 14 forwards, 8 D-men. No changes, Rupper. You're loving your D.
Yeah. So the one thing that I kind of got hung up on, and we could talk about it when we get to yours, because it's a factor for me as far as having the right sticks, righties, lefties. I was a little bit concerned on the righty department because for the Adam Fox is banged up. He looks like he might be coming back here shortly for the New York Rangers, but he also wasn't very impressive at Four Nations. So do you need another righty? I was battling. I wanted to put Seth Jones on here. I wanted to put Seth Jones as a righty, and we know about his past with Zach Werenski, and a lot of times this is about pairs. You got Quinn, and we'll go over it real quick. Quinn Hughes, Brock Faber, and I have them playing together because they're playing together in Minnesota right now. I think that's a seamless transition. Zach Werenski, Charlie McAvoy, Jacob Slavin, Jake Anderson, Noah Hannafin, and then Adam Fox. And so I guess the big thing for me is trying to find a way to get Seth Jones on here, but I don't know who's coming off. mean, you could say Adam Fox. Adam Fox was pretty good on a bad team this year as far as what they've been playing. And I'll go back to the same thing. You think Mike Sullivan, his coach, is not going to take his player? No, Adam Fox is going. I don't know what level he's going to play, if he's going to be in the top 6 or not. That was tough for me. But I couldn't really try. I was trying to make changes here. I couldn't. There's nothing that really made a ton of sense for me. And then the goaltending, I've kept the same this entire time. Connor Hellebuck, Jay Ottinger, and Jeremy Swayman.
Yeah, you stuck with those 3. There really wasn't was there any, I'm trying to think, any other goalies that you would look at and say, okay, you know what, this guy's got to get in. Well, Spencer Knight, right?
Yeah.
Would that be the guy? Yeah, he'd have been.
Yeah, that would be the guy. But a lot of this, I think it's probably more of a conversation with Team Canada about keeping one eye on the future and bringing young guys along. And that's why I thought about with him, but who are you taking off here? I mean, I'd argue, I know Connor Hellebuck was hurt. He came back, looks great, but Jeremy Swayman's been having the best season this year with these 3 guys. Yeah. So I just don't see how you can take one of these guys off, even though you're keeping your eye on the future with a player like Spencer Knight. But Jeremy Swayman's not old, and I think this is a slam dunk on the 3 goalies.
Yeah, well, I think you've got a very good silver medal roster. Is what I say. It's a very good silver medal roster.
I can't say anything. I can't. But you know what? If they do something, I will be running my mouth forever until the next international tournament. But what am I going to say? What am I going to say? I kind of feel like 4 Nations was this peak where I'm very nervous about this year's team for Team USA. I don't know if you're going to be able to match that. I might be dead wrong, but there's a lot of question marks, I think, for not who's on roster for me, just what are they going to look like? There's a lot of guys who don't look great this year, and there's a lot of guys on this roster that have been hurt and are hurt right now. So big question marks for Team USA once this tournament starts for me.
Okay, awesome. Well, now we'll get to my Team Canada team, and do have a few changes. We'll start with the regular guys up front and forwards: Braden Point, Connor McDavid, Sam Reinhart. They've already been named to the team. McKinnon and Crosby. I have Macklin Celebrini there. To me, it's a no-brainer. The kid is playing unreal. He's 3rd in the NHL in points. It's not even discussion. Brad Marchand. I saw some people, I don't know, Marchand's maybe he's probably being the MVP in Florida. He's been fantastic. So he stays. Mitch Marner's on the team. I have Mark Scheifele on the team, and I took the one change I took off because of his injury. I think Connor Bedard, the shoulder injury, Rupper. Otherwise, he would have been on my team. So the only reason he's off for any Hawk fans is because of the injury, and I think that will be a factor. Now they might put him on anyway and tell the other guy that, hey, we're doing that just in case, and I could see that. Just say, hey man, you earned it, but we're going to take you off as it gets closer, because you're probably not going to be ready to go, right? Like when they said, hey, we'll reevaluate it in January, and they could, and he might be ready, but that's a tough one for me. So he's off. Sam Bennett, Tom Wilson. I put Brandon Hagel back on, but he got another headshot last night, right? And so now you're kind of like, he's not going to play before Christmas, which isn't a short period of time. But I have Hagel. He was the guy I put back on because kind of what you said about Fox and other guys. It's his head coach. His coach knows him, right? Yeah. He likes him. Hagel can play down the lineup and be fine with it. And that's why I have Anthony Cirelli and Nick Suzuki as my other 2 forwards on the team. The hardest one for me was Bo Horvat. Bo Horvat was playing unreal. And I know that I've heard that it was Scheifele and Horvat, and they were kind of battling for a spot. And then unfortunately, Horvat's, they said 1 to 3 weeks, and it's already been a week and he's not back. And so, where's that going to go? And that to me was the reason why I didn't take him, only because of the uncertainty of that, which is really too bad, because Bo Horvat was having an unreal season. And I think he's deserving to be there in the conversation. There's a few other guys that, I think could probably be in the conversation, like Seth Jarvis. He's got 19 goals, but doesn't have any assists and doesn't have any points. And I also looked, he didn't get used a ton by John Cooper in the 4 Nations. And so sometimes it's easier that way. The coach's like, hey, you know what? I'm a big believer. I don't really care what the coach says about a player. I see how many minutes he plays. Time on ice, Rupper, is this guy's playing great. Why'd you play him for 6 minutes then? Oh, no, he's playing great. Okay. So that's why I don't have Seth Jarvis.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I didn't have Seth Jarvis either when I was messing around with this. It's very interesting though, because you said Bo Horvat. If that injury doesn't happen, I think it makes your decisions difficult here, because who comes out in that situation? Because like when I look at all of this, and this is no knock to him, because I actually really like him as a player. I'd love to have him on my team. But the Anthony Cirelli one, he's Coop's boy. Like that's their guy. Like, what do you need? Like, he'll be there. You know what I mean? Even if like his play all the time isn't like to the level of he should be, and you start comparing some of the other numbers and whatever, like what do you need? You need a face-off one. You need a shutdown guy. You need someone that he can move around anywhere, and he has that flexibility to where he's there. But it would be very interesting if Horvat didn't have that injury. And quite frankly, these things can change because there's still hockey to be played. This isn't like these guys are just waiting around, waiting for the Olympics. So there's a lot of things that can be figured in here, but I like it. Bedard, that injury was kind of that one. I don't know if I ever saw a world where Celebrini and Bedard were both going to go. And quite frankly, Bedard's done everything he can, but I still think that him not going to world championships when you're coming down and you're grasping at straws, like that's working against him. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I got no complaints on the list you have here.
Okay, so now let's move to the defense, and Cale Makar, Devon Taves. I have Jacob Chychrun on my team again, Rupper, and I got another chart here that I made that I want to show. Chychrun, Morrissey, Shea Theodore, Colton Parayko. I have Matthew Schaefer and Evan Bouchard. And then my goalies are the same. And I have Thomas Harley out. I have Evan Bouchard in. Thomas Harley was injured, and he's really struggled since November. Yeah. And Evan Bouchard's track record in the playoffs speaks for itself. But it's not just the playoffs, because I'm going to show some numbers. And I got Pat. First of all, Pat, these are from November 1st. So these are the time on ice for guys per game. This is 5-on-5. Okay. And then you'll see their goals for, goals against, and then their, goals, assists, and points. You look at their goals for, goals against. Bouchard, 10 goals against. That's the lowest, tied with Schaefer, tied with Chychrun and Makar, right? And so don't tell me that he gives up a ton of goals. It's a myth. He doesn't, right? He produces a lot, right? And he doesn't give up a ton on a team, by the way, Rupper, that gives up a ton. And so that's where I want to take people to the next chart, because this will show you a big difference. So you'll see Evan Bouchard there. See on the far right column, that's the goal for percentage of the team when he's not on the ice. So when Bouchard's on the ice since November 1st at 5-on-5, the Oilers have outscored teams 27-10. When he's not on the ice, they're outscored 22-4, outscored 45-22. When he's on the ice, 61% goal share. When he's off, 32. Now, you look at other guys, Cale Makar is unreal, but Colorado with Makar on or off the ice is basically the same team. That's how dominant they are right now. Cale Makar is on, they outscore teams 22-10. When he's not on the ice, they outscore teams 43-18, right? And that's not a knock on Makar, but when people tell me that Bouchard's such a defensive liability, but he's only on the ice for 10 goals against, when he's off, the team has been on for 45 goals against. It's a massive, massive shift. And to me, his play since November, it's like he said, okay, you know what? I'm going to show them that I can be more than just a playoff performer. And he moves the puck incredibly well. He's on the penalty kill now. You know what? He might not be in your top 6 right away, but I'm taking Evan Bouchard based on how he's played the last few months.
Those are great stats that kind of you have to pay attention to, because his underlying numbers are good, and we know that that's part of the formula when you're trying to figure some things out. I think the best thing that's working for Evan Bouchard is that he's a right-hand shot, and this is a team that when you look at who we think is going to be there for Team Canada, you got Cale Makar, you got Colton Parayko. I'm pretty sure that that's it, besides if you were to bring like an Evan Bouchard. So I don't know, is it asking too much to have too many, let's just, for preparing for things is a Colton Parayko or a Cale Makar went down. Now, if a Cale Makar went down, yeah, that's your guy that you'd like to step in as far as an offensive role and be able to carry offense, I think. But, I don't know. I'm different with you on Bouchard. Like, if he's not in that role, I don't think you got a spot for him here. And I saw that there's that tweet that went out. I think Pierre LeBrun was putting out there that he's hearing that it's coming down to like a Schaefer Bouchard for the 8th D. For me, that's not even close. That's Matthew Schaefer. Like, I don't think it's close. And a lot of that you got to pay attention to is keeping an eye on the future and whatever. But like, I still firmly believe, even though all those numbers there, I think when you have some of those moments that Evan Bouchard has had this year, and he had that run of, he's been playing great lately, and he's a effective player in the big games, and we see it in the playoffs, but he still has those miscues that are really egregious. And I just think in a short tournament, if you're not going to be used necessarily in your role of being an offensive driver, because that's going to go to Cale Makar, I think from there on, it's being predictable for your coaches. And I think there's a lot of unpredictability with Evan Bouchard. And that's why I don't think you can bring him. So that's the one where, I mean, on your list, you have him and Matthew Schaefer. So, that's going against what I'm saying. I think it's probably one or the other. And for me, that's Matthew Schaefer. So, this is really interesting to see how this shakes out. And then also, like, I wonder how much conversations had, like, Connor McDavid's he's going to back his boy. Yeah. What are these conversations like? It's so interesting to see, and just even dating back in other years where teams are playing and these coaches on the opposing team are meeting with players and talking to them on game days and trying to figure some things out where their mindsets are. This is all prepping while an NHL season's going on. So that's the one area that I disagree. I don't think Evan Bouchard will be on the team.
All right. Well, hey, buddy, if we all agree, it'd be pretty damn boring. So, no, that's good. The goaltending, I will say, though, that I have like Binnington now as the number 3 behind Thompson.
I like your goalies. Your goalies are the exact goalies I have. And not many, I feel like there's not a lot of people out there that have these 3 that we have. Those 3 goalies I love.
Yeah, Thompson, Kemper, and Binnington. So Binnington comes because of the experience of the last time, but there's nothing he's shown this year at all that no. He's like, hopefully he flips the switch and finds his game. But right now he is struggling mightily, Rupper. And, the Blues fans are seeing it. And who knows, maybe a trip to Milan will be the tonic that he needs to get his game going. So we'll find out. But I'm looking forward to the announcements on the 31st. And then, we'll see how many guys are on the initial roster who don't end up going there due to injury and such. Yeah. Because unfortunately there's going to be some more injuries in January, just the way the season's going. But it should be great. Awesome stuff, Rupper. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy got a lot of snow here in old central Alberta right now. So I've been shoveling like a madman, but it's good exercise. And so keep everybody safe. I know the snow's coming, and we will, you have yourself a wonderful Christmas, buddy, on the rundown. We'll talk to you in the new year.
Yes. Merry Christmas to everybody listening, and we'll catch up. Happy holidays, and we'll keep doing this and watching hockey and being entertained.
Awesome. That's the rundown, brought to you by Bet365.
Hey, hockey fans, if you enjoyed that video, then make sure you hit the subscribe button right here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube. We have you covered for everything you need. Exclusive interviews on The Sheet with Jeff Merrick, all the latest hockey news on Daily Faceoff Live, and you can always get your morning started with Johnny Lazarus and Colby Cohn on Morning Cup of Hockey. Don't miss a minute. Hit that subscribe button.